Right, we're live now, and it's just gone 11. Hey everyone, welcome to this book club. This is our second one. It is technically our third one because we did one on Chris's channel, and it decided it wanted to go on a little journey somewhere, and it hasn't returned yet.
Yeah, it's retired to Barbados with his girlfriend. It's not coming back.
Yeah. So cheers for joining us again, guys. I know a few people. Oh, well, that proves it's working anyway.
It's
As you can
recording.
hear two of me. Yeah, so cheers for watching, guys. I know a few people have said they'll come and join in. Um,
Awesome.
I'm here again with Chris from Christoria 2027.
Hey guys, thanks for having me again, Mark.
Oh, no, no, no.
This is
Thanks for
very
coming.
kind.
It'll always be us two in these chats, whether we have guests in the future or not, I don't know, but it's always going to be us two. Um, and there will be more defined themes in the future. It's just life's been a bit hectic at the start of the year for both of us.
Yeah.
And we will start planning these properly, and there'll be proper days and all sorts. But yeah, our one viewer's left because I think it was me. So
It's
yeah,
fine.
if anyone joins in, please go on to the Q&A and ask us questions about anything. The topic for today's chat is favourite books. Mainly, that was influenced by Chris's recent video of his top 10 favourite sci-fi and horror and fantasy books, was it?
Yeah, it was just an overall top 10 for everything. So
Oh, right, okay.
yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know if
so
it'll be that good actually.
we've decided to do a top five just for this chat, and we can discuss the books in more in depth and what makes them our favourites and why other people should check them out.
Yeah.
So yeah, anything you want to add, Chris?
Um, I don't think so. I think, like you said, in the future that we're going to maybe be doing theme chats and Q&As and things we can put like we used to in the old chats that we did, where we sort of spent a week planning it out and thinking of ideas and stuff. But our chats have always been quite relaxed and just sort of chit chatting anyway, which has always been an appeal for both of us, I think.
Yep, definitely.
So
Right,
yeah, but
so yeah, you can kick us off if you like, Chris. I don't know if you want to talk about some stuff you've read this week, or you want to get straight into your favourite books.
we can talk. I finished a book last night. I've been reading "I Knocked Up Satan's Daughter" by Carlton Mellick III, who you introduced me to, which I'm thankful for because I've enjoyed both of his books so far that I read. I finished that last night. Really enjoyed it. Sort of a rom-com with a twist of gory Satanism and demon dimensions and stuff. It was very good. And I'm reading Dead Harvest, which you gave me as a gift, you and Ellie, by, is it Chris Home, I think?
Yeah.
I'm enjoying that, but I'm only maybe they're really short chapters, which I like actually. Some of the chapters are like 2 or 3 pages. I do like that.
Yeah, sometimes I like that. Sometimes that gets me into a story a lot quicker.
Yeah, yeah. I find it hard to just read a 50-page chapter at night. It can be difficult because I do like to read chapters before I go to bed. So having short ones is good. So that's what I've been reading.
Awesome. For me, what did I finish? I read Black Hand Gang by Pat Kelleher, which is a book Chris gifted to me, which is awesome because I hadn't even heard about it. So thank you for that. And yeah, I absolutely devoured that book in a few days. I don't usually devour books. I'm not a fast reader. I'm kind of like a chapter a night kind of person. Um, and yeah, I just found myself staying up till about 3 in the morning reading until I couldn't understand words. And it's basically just like it's a pulpy horror sci-fi about a battalion during the First World War who somehow get transported to an alien world with 900 other men and a part of the Somme, and then their discoveries on this other planet. It's a 3-book series, and I've only got the first one. But I'm definitely picking up the other 2. I think the omnibus was just released, which has all 3 in one book.
Oh wow,
So I'll
that's
probably
cool.
try and pick that one up.
Yeah,
But there are going to be more books. If the omnibus sells well, the author said he will write more in the series. So
Nice.
That means that even if I read the three, there's obviously some carry on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and for being someone who has no interest in war, the normal bits of the book were the bits I enjoyed the most. It was great that there were these cool creatures he created, and there's other species and native people and stuff. But the bit I enjoyed the most was the talking between the soldiers in the battalion because their characters are all really different, and I just really enjoyed it. Um,
Yeah. That's cool.
and what else did I get down? I started reading Goosebumps again. Um, Books from my childhood, World Book Day got me looking into them again. And I thought, oh, I've got the first 50 odd books or something. I picked them up at Car Boot not that long ago. So I thought, why not? They're like one book, they're a book a night kind of things. So I
Yeah.
thought, why not? A few times a month, I'll just chuck it into my reading. So I read Welcome to Dead House, which
Cool.
is the first book, and it's a cool story about a family that move into a new town after inheriting a house, and they start meeting the local kids, and things aren't as they seem, and then they discover that all of the town is dead, and that their house is used to get new blood into the town to keep
Oh
them
wow.
going. So that's kind of cool. So they're kind of vampires, but there's no actual vampiric stuff going on.
Yeah.
Um, but I love the design in it because there's an amphitheater in the graveyard where all the dead sit around it under this giant hanging tree in the shade,
Oh cool.
where they sacrifice the new people. And I thought that
Yeah.
was quite cool.
Goosebumps is something that I've never got into. I think maybe I was a bit late to it, maybe, or they came a bit after I was into that stuff because I did like
Yeah,
point horror. But it's very cool to go back and read stuff you liked when you were younger, so that's a good idea.
yeah. There's things. There's certain books in Goosebumps I remember like really well, like Night of the Living Dummy, the thing from under the sink, which was a demon possessed sponge, um, Attack of the Mutants. There were certain ones that really stuck with me. Say Cheese and Die. Um, and this one I completely forgot, and I don't know if it's because it was the first book. So I think I must, as a kid, I read it a few times.
Yeah.
Maybe I just had a short attention span. Um,
Yeah, maybe. So that's
I don't,
cool.
I don't know if I'd go back and read Point Horror because I don't think I was that into them. I think they came a bit too romantic.
Yeah, I remember reading like, is it called Trick or Treat? I think there might be one called. I know it's got a pumpkin on a porch on the cover. Um, and I think R.L. Stein did write a few of the early point horror. I remember reading maybe half a dozen of those and really liking them. But I think you're right. Started going from being little horror novels for kids, turning into stuff like The Babysitter, where they had little romance stories involved in them and stuff.
Yeah, I remember one where it was like I thought it'd be awesome because it was like set on a beach and they were like vampire surfers.
Oh wow.
But it wasn't. It was all girls fancying guys and
Yeah.
the precursors to Twilight, which isn't what I'm into. Ellie enjoyed them, but there was like point horror and point detective or point crime, wasn't there?
Yeah, they did point romance as well, I think.
Yeah. So
So
I don't think I stayed with that long, but I definitely Goosebumps was a big thing for me.
yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, that and now I'm currently digging into Lock and Key, Volume 4, which is
Awesome.
awesome so far. Have you got to Volume 4 yet?
Yeah, that's we've got up to four. So
Have you started it
um,
yet?
no, I still need to read two and three.
Oh, okay.
But
the
I love the
first
first one. So
the first story in 4 is brilliant. I love it. It's got Bill Whittington doing the artwork, which is the guy from Fables.
yeah,
And the story, there's a little story in it, and it's fucking awesome.
oh, awesome.
You'll love
Yeah,
it.
I did love the first one. The artwork on Lock and Key is probably one of my favorites.
Oh, the
So
artwork is just.
it's amazing.
I'm really annoyed because they've released a absolute edition of the first volume,
Okay.
and I've always said I like the like absolute editions that are oversized and stuff, but I'm only going to buy them if it's something that I love the story and the artwork equally.
Yeah,
So, like, one of my favorite books is an absolute edition of Hellboy, and that's because the artwork in it is literally like you want to frame nearly every page,
yeah,
and Lock and Key's like that, and it's like the Hellboy library editions or absolute editions, whatever you want to call them, they're really reasonably priced. But like you got Sandman, which is art, but they're like 70 quid for one volume.
Yeah.
The Walking Dead is 70 quid for one volume. I think it's more expensive for the Walking Dead one.
Yeah. Something crazy.
And the Lock and Key one's the same, and I just can't put down that kind of money for it.
No. No, they sort of price themselves out a little bit. Or maybe they don't. Maybe some people will spend that. But yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you to our one viewer, whoever you are.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Yeah, go head to the Q&A on Google Plus, and if you want to ask us any questions,
I have a feeling it's Pete. So hello, Pete. As in Mondo Squalido.
Okay, hey Pete, how you doing?
And if not, it's probably the other Pete, as in Scum. What does he call his channel?
Yeah, I always forget the number. Is it 76? I'm not sure, but
Is Scum 76, or is it Scum Package, or is that Scum and then his initials?
oh, PK, yeah, I think you might be right. What am I thinking of? I don't know. So
Well,
it's
when
Pete,
it comes up on the start of his channel, the intro says Scum 76.
Okay, yeah.
So it's one of those things.
Yeah, I think the other one is his initials, so.
Sorry, Pete, if you're watching and I've just butchered your name.
Yeah, so hello to Pete, or Pete, whichever Pete is joining us.
Yeah.
Just to confuse us.
Yeah, cheers for watching, and definitely ask any questions. So yeah, I don't know if you want to start with your first book, Chris?
Yeah, I've got 4 copies with me just to show, and one that I couldn't find for some reason, even though I had it out earlier in the week. One of them I didn't show in the video, and I only got it recently, the Emily Bronte little mini penguin edition, because this is the only poetry collection I have of Emily Bronte. I remember when I was a kid trying to be forced in school to read poetry, and I didn't want to read poetry as a kid. I was too busy reading Vlad the Drac. So, but I remember being given an Emily Bronte poetry book and just loving it, which I thought was weird as a child to like something like that, and I've loved it ever since. It's what got me wanting to write poetry when I was in my teenage years, and I always go back to reading them. So I picked this up recently. It's got some of my favourites in, and I don't know what it is about her the way she writes. I just connect with her writing, which is strange because she has a very feminist style, but I don't know. I just love the way she writes, and yeah, so I would have probably put that in my top 10 books, but it's such a tiny little thing that it wasn't really a novel. So that was one of them, just because I wanted to mention that is what I like poetry-wise. That's what I'm interested in.
Excuse me.
So yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's cool.
Yeah, Emily Bronte is not someone I've ever read.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have if I hadn't been sort of my hand forced to pick a classic poet. But yeah, I've always liked writing. So
I don't think we did any classic poetry at school. I think we were given a thing called the Anthology, which was like a collection of short stories and poetry and prose from loads of people. And there was people like Carol Ann Duffy in there, and I can't remember anyone else. Maybe Jacqueline Wilson. And it was kind of like, I loved that. I really, really loved it. You got a copy of the book.
well, cool.
And I think it was made for education purposes.
Yeah.
But I remember we went on a school trip to Bath, I think it was, Bath or Bristol, where all of the people were performing the anthology.
Wow.
And there was this really cool one with this. He was a comedian and he did some other stuff, and it was a thing about homeless people, and it was awesome. And just seeing these people perform the poetry gave poetry a completely different, kind of made it 3D.
Yeah.
It wasn't just words on a page, because you got the feeling of how they wrote it as well.
That's cool.
And that was the only way that I ever understood things like prose, because someone would say to me, here's poetry, and because I have quite a musical brain, I clung on to the rhyming element of poetry.
Yeah.
and it's very hard. It was very hard for me to understand non-rhyming poetry. I just couldn't get my head around it. I'd just be like, well, this is just a story. This is just writing.
Yeah.
And it took me seeing it live for people to and people performing the words for me to
Yeah. So
understand.
putting it into context, and
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
because we had some guy and his it was just a list of words. And I didn't get it, and when he performed it, he was screaming these words out on the stage and stamping and throwing books at the crowd and stuff, and it was incredible.
That's awesome.
Um, so yeah, maybe I need to. I always wanted to read more poetry because it's something I've always enjoyed,
Yeah.
always written poetry and always enjoyed it. But I just I don't know where to start. I
Yeah.
suppose I just need
I
to
just,
pick up some collections.
yeah. There's some really good anthologies out of like a certain theme, and then poetry based on that theme and stuff. I got a lot of those when I was getting into poetry, and then I just found people I like, Robert Burns, and I remember having to study Seamus Heaney's poetry in school and finding it really boring, and Sylvia Plath and stuff like that. So, but I just, yeah, I could read poetry all day. I haven't read a good poetry anthology in ages, so grabbing these Penguin editions was kind of cool because there's a few poetry ones.
I remember I enjoyed. Is it Wilfred Owen? Is he the war poet?
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember I enjoyed his stuff because a lot of the stuff up until that point that I'd read about the war obviously had been kind of censored because I was young. And I got to secondary school and we read his poems, and his poems kind of don't hold back any of the bad.
no,
He talks about how bad it is, and that was and I connected with that because I was like, well, that's real.
yeah,
And it was only then that you start learning things about the fact that letters were only sent home with good stuff in them so that people didn't worry and all that stuff.
yeah,
Um, But yeah, I found his poetry quite emotive, even though again I'm not that interested in the war. I thought that I was more interested in the person element of it.
yeah, yeah. Maybe that's a good place to start then. Maybe
Yeah,
go and read some of his stuff. But
yeah.
cool.
So is that in one of your top five, or is that just a side note?
No, I picked it as part of my top five just because I wanted to mention it in the video I did, but it wasn't a novel, so I didn't put it in there. So I'll put it into this video.
Awesome. For me, my first favourite is probably out of all of these is the oldest out of the lot because I, I got it first. But it's Neil Gaiman's Smoke and Mirrors.
Awesome.
um, Purely because it was my first introduction to Neil Gaiman, and I knew nothing about him at this time. I just liked the cover, and I liked the fact it was a short story collection.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, it just the stories in here just absolutely seeped into my brain and stuck there. There's so many good short stories, and even the poetry in here is good. Um, and yeah, it sold me on Neil Gaiman. I was just like, you can do so much with like 50 pages. I'm in awe of you. 50, even less than 50 pages to be honest.
yeah,
And then the more I got into Neil Gaiman, the more I realised that he's probably one of my favourite authors and people.
yeah. That's the first thing I ever read of his as well. Smoke and Mirrors. I don't have a copy of it, but I remember loving some of the stories in that. I think we talked about it when you visited. Actually, the poetry about the troll under the bridge and stuff. I
Yeah,
think I love that one. But
the day the saucers came.
yeah, that's yeah a great anthology.
So I think this is what I could definitely see me rereading time and time again. I think I've read it twice. I
Cool.
think I seem to remember the first time I read it, I finished it. I think I read it over like a month, just dipping in and out of it. And I think as soon as I finished it, I started reading it again
Wow.
because I remember that there's so much going on in all these other stories that I wanted to go back and read more about the stories from the start of the book.
Yeah.
I don't think on the second read through I finished it.
No, but
Um, but there's such a big mixture in here. So yeah, I love that.
awesome. Yeah. What else have I got? This was one that I read this year. I've shown it a couple of times. Um, I don't know if it's going to stay in my favourite books list or what, but at the moment, it might just be the my brain going overboard a little bit because it's a fairly recent read, so it's hard to say whether it'll stay there. But I love this. It's a story set out like an IKEA catalogue. I've mentioned it loads of times in videos lately, but yeah, it follows the sort of staff of a. It's not called IKEA. What's it called? I've forgotten. Orsk Superstore, and yeah, it follows the staff who are doing like a night shift because things are going weird. They keep finding stains on the furniture and things out of place in the shop, and it wasn't me. So they do like a night shift, and they start realizing certain things. I don't want to give too much away because I know you want to read it.
I'm definitely picking it up.
But it's kind of like a haunted house story put into a superstore like IKEA. Really relatable lead character, even though she's a female character, she's really relatable, so you enjoy reading her. And it's just one of those that doesn't ever have a moment where you're kind of feeling like it's dragging, which I really like when that happens. So, yeah.
I also love the fact that it's written like a catalogue.
Yeah, every chapter has a separation page. If I can I'll show you. Like that. And it gives you like the details of the furniture, but it actually fits into the story. It's not just a gimmick. The actual description fits into the story and stuff. So
I love that so much.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my second one.
Right. Before I go on to my second one, we have a question from Pete from Mondo Squalido.
Hello.
Asking us if we are fans of Terry Pratchett. And you want to go first, or I'll answer it?
Yeah, really sad news. Yesterday we were on a chat when you actually told me. So
yeah, when I first noticed it about 3:30 or whenever it was.
Yeah, so it's a massive loss.
Yeah.
To British literature as well, because yeah. But I can't say I'm a massive fan of Terry Pratchett. I'd be lying and jumping on bandwagons and all that stuff because I haven't read any Terry Pratchett stuff, which is criminal, really. But last year, me and Victoria decided we wanted to get into the Discworld stuff, so we've been going out of our way to pick them up, intending to start reading them this year. So I'll be able to tell you better this time next year whether I'm a fan of his work, but I certainly am excited about getting into the world he created, and yeah.
Yeah, I was fucking sucks, to be honest. I am a huge fan of Terry Pratchett. He was someone when I was very, very young that I looked up to as a person that embraced his own weirdness and said fuck everyone else. This is how I think and how I feel, and there's something that relates to kind of the outsider in that he created a world that he could then do what he wanted to that world in reflection of the real world. So instead of him damaging himself or being in any way negative around the actual world, he did it to the Discworld. He got his political and his religious and all this stuff, he put that into the Discworld and made it fictional, even though it was kind of not. And that kind of self-preservation, protection kind of thing I related to.
Yeah.
In that it's a lot easier to create a world of people and fuck their lives up than to be nasty and horrible and negative as a person in the real world. And also he as he showed with the way he treated Alzheimer's, he's open, and he if people weren't happy with his weirdness, then it wasn't part of his life.
Yeah.
He was purely himself, and as a very young person and a bit of a weirdo, I related to that, and yeah. So I've read about 13 of his books. I think 13 of the Discworld books, and they're a series that I think a lot of people always say they want to get into, but with 70 odd books or something, it's very, very intimidating, and they're the kind of books when you read them, you do get sucked in, and you could find yourself spending a year just reading Pratchett books.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I think, it's the same kind of thing as with Game of Thrones. They just don't. They're intimidated by setting that chunk of time dedicated to that one thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Which is the reason I haven't read any Game of Thrones. Um, but yeah,
yeah.
it's a
I
big
think
loss and it sucks.
yeah, it really does. But I said to you yesterday, if there's any positive I can take from such hideous news, it's that it maybe will push me to actually get into his work now. Just because I don't know when the lights sort of shone on something like it is being at the minute, sort of stays in your brain a bit more. Stops
Yeah,
me
it's
forgetting.
a horrible
It's a
twist
horrible
of
thing.
thing. Yeah, but
But yeah,
it can only make him more popular, sadly.
yeah, yeah. And
Um,
at least there's some really beautiful editions of his Discworld books out now
oh
with those.
yeah, yeah.
So
Do you
it's a
know what we
nice
should
look.
have done before we went on about it? Is we should have asked Pete if he was a fan because he might have just sat through 10 minutes of us talking about someone he doesn't like.
No, I'm sure he doesn't mind.
All right, he's sticking with the concept of literary universes. Which world in a book or series would you love to live in? Ah,
Ooh.
see, I've seen this in some tag videos.
Yeah, a lot of people say Hogwarts. I've noticed.
Yeah, and also a lot of the YA readers, they kind of get stuck because all the books they read. Excuse Milo. Milo are dystopian,
Yeah.
and dystopian by definition isn't good.
No, you don't want to live in a world ravaged by political apocalypse, really. Um, don't want to live in a district.
No.
Yeah, it's a
um,
good question. No, let me think on that a second.
yeah, I would say, and this is only because I learned yesterday, and this is a bit of a cop out because I haven't actually read it, but I learned yesterday through a video. There's a channel called Comic Book Girl 19, I think.
Okay.
Girl with pink hair, and she does all about comic books. Awesome, awesome channel. And she did a video about the Fifth Element and the fact that the Fifth Element is pretty much the movie adaptation of Alexander Jodorowsky's The Inkle, which
Yeah.
is a graphic novel I know that both of us wanted to pick up.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that, and then the fact that The Inkle is then inspired by Dune, which is another thing I haven't read. But if I can cop out a little bit, the universe I'd want to live in, it would be the Fifth Element universe, which in turn is the Incal universe, which is a literary universe.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's a bit of a cop out.
Yeah, I thought they actually did Fifth Element spin-off comic series as well, but maybe I'm wrong.
They may have, I don't know. I haven't even got the Blu-ray of the movie. It's terrible. It's one of my favourite movies.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
So
I'm
now I
struggling.
know that the Incal is basically the same thing. I'm definitely
Yeah.
picking that up.
Yeah, it looks really good.
And I want to see the documentary Jodorowsky's Dune.
Oh yeah, I think that was on Netflix.
But yeah, because it's all about he was trying to make Dune and it didn't happen.
Right. Oh well. Let me think. I'm thinking a lot of my favorite books aren't, worlds I'd want to live in at all. I recently read a book called The Sculptor by Scott McCloud. It's a graphic novel. I kind of like the idea of living in the world that the lead character of that book inhabits for the time that the book takes place. I don't know if you're intending to ever read it, Mark.
I don't know. I don't know that book.
It's about a guy who is a failed sculptor artist, and he's depressed, and his life's sort of falling, and he has kind of his deceased uncle visits him, but it's death really, and he kind of sells his soul in order to be able to sculpt anything out of anything. But he only has a certain amount of days to live, so he gives up his life pretty much to be able to solidify a legacy with his sculptures, and he can just like pull sculptures out of walls, and yeah, it's crazy. But
Wow.
I'd like to be able to create like that.
Milo. Sorry.
Don't worry. So yeah, that world, because I love that book. That was amazing. So I haven't got a better answer than that.
Well, fair enough. That's fine. I mean, if I had to go um, literary that I have read, it would probably be The World in the Night Watch, as in the Russian one, because I like the way that is.
Yeah,
Um,
cool.
but yeah, we have a question from on the YouTube from Bathsheba Everdeen. Says, I like Emily Bronte too. Love the classics, especially Tom Hardy. Question: have either of you read any interesting biographies?
Thanks for the question.
Yeah.
Um, biographies. I read a lot of wrestling autobiographies a few years ago. Like even when I was younger, the Mick Foley ones, I loved those. But I read the Bronte sisters one, which is fantastic. Um, I read a good Poe biography.
Pope.
Um, Poe, Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh, I thought you said Pope.
No, not to do Pope.
For
Um,
me, the best one I've read is Robert England's.
oh, cool.
That's a really good, fun book, and there's lots and lots of horror people in it.
Yeah,
Um, I've got Ron Perlman's to read, which Ellie still needs to finish.
yeah,
I've read a few biographies of Lovecraft, but because they're written after he died, they've all got the writer's own spin on things.
yeah. That's kind of like the Poe one that I read. It was, yeah.
Because I mean, I've got books on Lovecraft where people believe that the Necronomicon was real,
Oh,
and people that believe the magic system behind, like Cthulhu and stuff, is real, not that it's a work of fiction.
wow.
Um, so those books are really, really weird. I didn't buy them knowing that's what they were, but I should have done my research better at the time. I think at the time I was just buying anything that had Lovecraft in it.
Yeah,
Um, I've read a few Kat Von D books, which are kind of autobiographical,
yeah.
but I'm not a big fan of her. So I've read Dieter Von Teese, but that's because Ellie likes it, and I like looking at the pictures. Um,
There you go.
and a cool one I've got is Too Much Horror Business by Kirk Hammett, the guitarist from Metallica.
All right, cool.
He has one of the biggest horror merchandise collections in the world.
Oh, wow.
And this hardback book, I should have brought it up. I didn't think. It's just page after page of just old first edition posters, and he's got giant full size models of people, of Frankenstein's creature and stuff.
Wow.
It's epic, the book. There's nothing about Metallica in it at all.
Oh, that's even better then.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Um,
cool. No, that.
so yeah, but no actual real. Robert England one's the only real autobiography I've read.
Yeah.
But thank you for the question.
Yeah, thank you. That's cool.
Where's Bathsheba from? I remember that name.
I don't know.
Everdean's
Bathsheba.
obviously Katniss.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they could tell us where that comes
Yeah.
from.
If you're still watching, please let us know. We also have a comment from Pete Graham, aka Scum76, aka Scum PKG. Um, hey guys, Neil Gaiman's Violent Cases is an awesome read and highly recommended. By the way, my channel used to be called Scum76 until Google Plus came along and forced me to use my real name. Scum76 was my gamer handle, but I still keep it for my channel. Mark, any more thoughts of reading A Clockwork Orange after our chat yesterday? I went and bought the book. Right, yeah, I don't know if you saw on he posted up. I can't remember. He commented on something of mine, or I commented on something of his, and we ended up
Okay.
talking about A Clockwork Orange.
Okay.
Because that's right, yeah, because he had it on in the background while he was reading some of his magazines, comics, and I said that the movie's it's not really a movie you can have on in the background. You end up just watching it.
Yeah.
And we ended up talking about the book and how there's like a whole language in it, and it's a challenge to read it.
Oh wow, I've never read that.
And he's gone and have you never read it?
No, no.
No, I haven't either. And he said he's always wanted to try and read it, and apparently he's gone out and bought the book now. So we'll get to
Oh
find out
wow.
if it is a challenge.
Yeah, let us know. That'd be interesting.
But Violent Cases is one that I think that's done by David McKean as well,
Yeah.
the artist.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I need to get more into Neil Gaiman because I've got American Gods, which I want to read soon, and I'm reading Ocean at the End of the Lane this month. Um, but I just know I'm going to love his stuff because what little I have read, I've loved it. So
I mean, I've read Smoke and Mirrors. I've read Fragile Things, which is another short story collection. I've
yeah,
read Graveyard Book. I think that's it.
cool.
I had one of the Sandman graphic novels, but it's like the last one, so it made no sense.
Yeah, I did that. I just read random ones from the library when I was younger.
Um, so I need to get more of his stuff. I do. I own a Nancy Boys, American Gods, Neverwhere, Stardust. I just need to get around to reading them.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, that's more that I need to get up to. But yeah, cheers for watching, Pete.
yeah,
And you'll have to keep us updated with how Clockwork Orange goes,
definitely. Yeah,
because I know we'll both probably be interested in reading that.
yeah,
And then from Pete, we have, like Chris, my experience with Pratchett is limited aside from TV adaptations of his social political views. My mum has a few of his books that I'll give a try. Better let us know what you think, dude.
yeah,
Because I'd like to know what you think of things I've read, and Chris obviously wants to know. We need to encourage him to read them quicker.
definitely, because it takes me a while.
It took me ages to badger you to read bloody Lock and Key.
I know it's difficult.
You kept posting, I'm reading this graphic novel, and I'm like, no, read Lock and Key. But I'm halfway through it now, read Lock and Key.
Yeah, I did. I put one down to read it because I felt like I could sense your anger at that point.
Yeah, my vitriol.
Yeah,
And then we have from Pete again, which is awesome. Thank you for all the questions.
yeah.
What is the most money you've spent on a book, and was it worth it?
Hmm. Um, I've got a couple of books in the background here. You've seen them, Mark. The Edgar Allan Poe and then the
Yeah,
Lovecraft hardcovers, but they were gifts, so I didn't spend money on those. They were,
they're not overly expensive either, are they?
no, they're not really, actually. Come to think of it, they should be.
Yeah.
Um, hmm. I'm trying to think. I don't think I've ever really spent a stupid amount on a book.
I haven't either, because I'm a
Yeah.
person that I don't really get signed books unless I'm there.
Yeah.
And then if I do pick up a signed book when I'm not actually there, it's because either I'll never get a chance to meet the author, or it was just there and was the same price as a non-signed one.
Yeah, yeah. When we went to that convention and we got Hugh Howey to sign Wool and all that stuff, they were the same price. So it was like 13 quid or whatever.
Exactly. I mean, if I'm there and I can get the signing of something, I want the experience to remind me of when I was there with the author.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. We
I
got that
think.
signed
Sorry.
book. We got that signed book recently from Waterstones, but only because it was on the shelf with non-signed copies for the same price, pretty
Yeah,
much.
exactly. Yeah.
Um, Probably the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings hardcovers that I bought for Victoria. Those are probably the dearest books, and they were on a flash sale anyway, so they weren't that expensive. But yeah, probably that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. The most expensive books I've got are probably the Hellboy library editions, but that's still only the most expensive one was 30 quid.
Yeah.
So I don't think books are a thing I've ever got into spending a lot of money on.
No, you've reminded me actually. It's the Walking Dead first uh, omnibus thing. That was 35. So that's probably the dearest. And it's worth it because I do love that series. Um, yeah, so that maybe. But
Awesome.
thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the questions, everyone. We have a reply from Bathsheba Everdeen, which
Cool.
is thanks for your reply. Oh, Robert England sounds interesting. Not so sure about the Pope bio, lol. Bathsheba's from the book Far from the Madding Crowd,
Oh, okay.
which is a book I don't know, so I don't know how I've come across Bathsheba before.
Yeah.
But it sounded familiar.
I've not read the book. But no, I'm not familiar either. But
Sorry.
I didn't read a Pope autobiography, Mark. You've spread a rumor.
You did.
I didn't.
Life in a
Disappoint.
Dress and a Funky Hat by the Pope. I could
Sorry
have
if I,
thought of something really, really like good to say, but I'm not that smart.
we also don't want to offend Pope fans in the audience.
I'll offend Pope fans in the audience. If you're a fan of the Pope, you need to readjust your life. It's fair enough being religious, but he is just a man. He is flesh.
Yeah.
He is flesh. Um, yeah, sorry if anyone is really religious. I'm just like,
Yeah. It
whatever.
became a pink chat.
Let God cast me down.
Sorry if I keep coughing. I've had a chest infection for 2 weeks. So
No, hold your breath.
I can't. It hurts.
That's fine. We'll cut that bit out of the video and I'll send it off to certain websites.
Oh.
Right, so my second book in our top 5 is China Miéville's Unlondon.
Ooh. Yeah, I've heard you mention this one.
Yeah, I love this book. I tried reading China Miéville before, and I went in with probably his most deep and in-depth book, which was either City in the City or Iron Council. And I then found out I just couldn't get through it. It was so intense, and at the time I was at uni, and I didn't have the time to devote to it. I could probably do it fine now. So I went and got his child's book, which is This is written for children. I don't know what kind of children. Weird children like us, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And
You've seen the comment as well, haven't you?
yeah, I've seen the comment from Pete. I'll talk about it after this. So yeah, this is 500 pages, and there are 100 chapters in it,
Wow.
which gives you the average of maybe 5 pages a chapter.
Oh, wow.
But there's chapters that are literally a page, not even a full page. And it's a story of, well, I should read it. It says, stumbling through a secret entrance, Zana and Diba enter the strange world of Unlondon. Here, all the lost and broken things of London end up, and some of its people too, including Broken Broll, boss of the Broken Umbrellas, and Hemi, the half-ghost boy. But the two girls have arrived at a dangerous time, and London is a place where words are alive, where a jungle lurks behind the door of an ordinary house, where carnivorous giraffes stalk the streets, and a sinister cloud called smog is bent on destruction.
Oh, wow.
And I fucking loved it. I will be reading this book again, I can guarantee, and now I've picked it for this, I want to read it again.
Yeah.
Because I loved it. And with such short chapters, it just makes you read it more and more and more.
Yeah, it sounds very good.
Yeah, should we address now? What was that?
I've not read any of his books.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's definitely weird fiction.
Cool.
But yeah, I've got the Kraken of his, which I need to watch, which is about the Natural History Museum in London unveils that they have someone's caught the Kraken and they put it on display. But then at the event, when they pull down the blanket, the curtain, it's been stolen.
Okay.
And then you find out there's a cult within London that worship the Kraken, and then there's a crime gang, and their leader is a tattoo that talks.
Huh.
So I thought that was kind of cool.
No, it does. It does sound cool.
So yeah, Pete's put. I love how the Pope's autobiography was written in text speak. Such a humanist and raw account.
Yeah.
OMG, little boys.
Lol. Yeah.
Yeah, your third book.
I'm just picturing it. I was just going through what a chapter might be like in my head then.
Don't, because you know we'll end up writing some bizarro Pope biography.
Yeah. It could happen. It'd sell in some circles.
Especially how quickly fucking Thuggin' Pugs Giving Buggin' Hugs came out.
Yeah, 2 full-length stories out of one random comment. Yeah, my next one is Heart-Shaped Box by Joseph Hill. Which you haven't finished yet, have you, Mark?
No, sorry, I just got distracted because I'm looking at the YouTube video on my phone for comments.
Oh, it's alright, just ignore me.
Sorry. Well, you'll be interested in this. One of the suggested videos linking from this is called Vaginal Fantasy Book Club.
Well, it would be, wouldn't it?
Fuck you. Right, carry on.
How is something linking? You mean on Google?
No, on YouTube. You know when it comes up with suggested.
Oh, really?
Not Google, YouTube. Sorry.
That's weird. Well, I hope people stay here because I kind of want to click on that. Yeah, this is the first book I ever read of Joe Hill's about a guy that collects haunted artifacts, and he buys a dead man's suit on eBay. And it starts haunting his house and haunting his girlfriend, and yeah, I loved. It sort of introduced me to Joe Hill in this sort of comic horror style. That is why I like Lock and Key so much. Because before I knew who he was, I thought his stuff would translate really well to comic books, and then found out he was doing comic books as well. So I like Horns a lot, but I think this is always going to be high up there just because it was my first one of his, and I really like it. So yeah, that's my third one.
Carrying on from that, my third one is Horns.
Wow, awesome.
I'm so happy we managed to find the cover. This is the same kind of cover as Heart-Shaped Box.
Yeah, that's the cover I've got as well. It's lovely.
Yeah. When Horns came out, we scoured the shops to find this cover because I saw it once and I was like, right, we have to have the same cover.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit annoyed he didn't release one with this cover for Nosferatu.
Yeah, that'd have been nice.
But it's not his choice, so it'll be whoever publishes it.
Yeah.
Autumn Books. But yeah, so as Chris was saying, he loved Horns as well. I've only picked Horns over 20th Century Ghosts because I finished Horns as soon as I read it, whereas 20th Century Ghosts I've been trying to read for 5 years. Not 20th Century Ghosts. Heart-Shaped Box.
Yeah.
20th Century Ghosts is his short story collection.
Yeah.
But yeah, so most people know about this book now because of the Daniel Radcliffe movie, which is awesome. But the book is way, way, way better.
It is.
It's a weird thing to say because everyone assumes movies based on books are mainly rubbish when it's not like a whole series and there isn't someone like Peter Jackson behind them. But the movie of this book is brilliant. Really enjoyed the movie. The book is just so good that it's insanely better.
Yeah. You can get away with a lot more in a book. And I think that helps a story because certain things from the book you wouldn't have really been able to get away with a PG-13 film or whatever it's rated.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that book. Yeah.
So
I don't know what he's got coming out next. Come to think of it, Joe Hill. Surely he's got another novel in the works.
I don't know because he's all over the place. I've got him on Twitter. But I know that he had Nosferatu came out, and then they did the Wraith comic series.
Yeah.
Based in the same world, and I know he did a book with his dad.
Yeah.
But I don't know what his next thing is. To be honest, I haven't kept up with it because I haven't read Nosferatu yet.
Yeah. Is this the fifth one or the fourth one?
Fourth.
All right, the fourth one is the one I can't find then. And it's called Angel Head. This was in my top 10 video as well. It's a non-fiction book. It's by Greg Bottoms. I do recommend people go maybe check it out, maybe read it, because I've never heard another person talk about that book. It's a book about a guy who, or the writer's account of his brother's descent into madness. His brother was paranoid schizophrenic. I read that just as I was starting to work in that field, and maybe that's where my interest started with it.
It's called Angel Head.
Ooh,
sorry,
I can hear me. Yeah, so I do recommend it if you're any even fleeting interest in that sort of stuff, or even just stories of human accounts of really dark times. It's really, really good.
Yeah, it's definitely one I want to pick up and read.
Cool.
If only from your recommendation.
Yeah, it's just written in a way I've not read many non-fiction stuff written before. and the fact that all of it is a true account, it's crazy. It's just yeah. So
I
yeah.
can't imagine it's very fun.
No, it's. I think I had another book on the go at the same time, just something a bit lighter because it was quite a upsetting read. But
Yeah.
I do, yes, I do read a lot of upsetting stuff. I think a lot of the strongest stories are actually pretty depressing, to be honest. But
Mainly our conversations on Facebook.
yeah, yeah.
Um, my fourth book is The Night Watch by Sergei Lukyanenko. He's not the guy that was killed, the Russian spy. That's not him. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so this is The Night Watch. This was made into a movie by Timur Bekmambetov, or however you say his name. He also did the
Yeah.
follow-up, which was The Day Watch, and then fucked off to do other stuff. But yeah, so the writer of this has done The Night Watch, The Day Watch, The Twilight Watch, The Last Watch. I think there's even The Dusk Watch coming out now.
Oh wow.
But that hasn't been translated yet into English. But I have the first four. I've read the first two. And I absolutely love this book. I love the world. I love magic being put into something like a kind of Eastern Bloc and quite depressing, lots of concrete and working class people. And I love the fact that the main character is really just thick as shit and he's just given these kind of powers and doesn't know how to deal with it. This is my signed edition that Ellie got me for a birthday because I'm never going to meet the guy because he's Russian and he doesn't speak English and he seems quite political, which is weird. But yeah, so this is signed by him and has a cool little bat logo on it.
Oh wow.
So yeah, that was cool to get. Really happy to have that.
Yeah, it's a nice looking edition.
And also, I love the covers on these. All the covers, they're a different colour and they all have like a face at the bottom and an animal at the top and like a skyline. And
That's
the
awesome.
copies that are now out in the books don't. They're kind of like have shields and swords on them for some reason. Because the swords and sorcery part of the story is like a chapter at the start of the first book. That's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I prefer these covers, and I'm happy that I've got the first four books in those covers. But yeah,
No,
really enjoy. Sorry.
I'm just saying we've got the first two books, I think, paperback, and I think they're the ones that you're talking about, the more sword and shieldy type covers.
Yeah, it doesn't portray the story well.
No, I've not read it. Victoria's read the first two.
I love them. I love the group of people in them.
That's cool.
Right. We said this chat was only going to be an hour. Are we going to go over?
I'm fine going over a bit, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay, no worries. We'll end when we end then.
Yeah.
From Chris, we have who are some of your favourite foreign writers? Now, the difficulty here is that with foreign writers, you have to find them translated.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of, if they're big enough, they're not kind of defined as foreign writers anymore.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I don't go out of my way to find things that were written in a different language before, and the things that I have read that have been translated, it isn't usually obvious that they've been translated.
No.
I mean, like I just showed the Night Watch. That was originally Russian, I think.
Yeah, he's a foreign, isn't he? So
that would be Sergei Lukyanenko. I'm trying to think of any others that.
Yeah, I read the Hubert Minganelli's Meal in Winter. He's that was translated by a translator, shockingly. Yeah, so I think he's a German writer, but I've only read that one book, and it's only a novella, but I really liked that. But I'm trying to think as well, because there's a lot of stuff. Yeah, I don't tend to learn a lot about an author before I read the book, so I could have read stuff from German, French writers that I didn't even realise, maybe.
Joe Hill's my favourite foreign author.
Yeah. That's true, isn't it? There's a hell of a lot of American authors that we like. Neil Gaiman's British, isn't he?
Yeah.
So I just ruined it. Damn it.
He lives in America.
Yeah.
It's something I need to do maybe next year as a part of my challenge is get a few foreign books. There's some books I've got in my wanted list on Goodreads that were written by African people,
Okay.
which I sound really interesting because they're like their take on the fantasy kind of stuff. But of course, it's set in Africa and it's very different. Milo.
No, that sounds cool. Yeah. I just got a book called Wolf Wolf, which is by a South African author. I can't remember his name, which sounds interesting. So I do have some, but it's remembering the names when I'm not sat with my books. That's the difficulty.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Um, but yeah, if you have any recommendations, Pete, that'd be cool. There's a Japanese writer as well, the guy that wrote the Ring book. I like that book.
Oh,
Mom.
Hideo Nakata.
Yeah, I like that book. I thought that was a good read, but again, that's the only
There's a
thing I've
graphic
read.
novel. There's a graphic novel I've always wanted to read called Uzumaki,
Okay.
and there's another one called Spirals.
Yeah, yeah.
I've always wanted to check them out. And then there's quite a famous author called Muramaki or something.
Oh yeah, he's just done one.
Yeah,
It's got like a really eye-catching cover, hasn't it?
yeah,
It's got like a library card on the cover of it.
yeah.
He wrote. What did he write? Shit, I was looking up this guy actually the other day because that his new book caught my attention. Yeah, but I can't think of his famous.
But yeah, I mean, there's plenty I'd like to read. There's
Yeah.
what about the guy who wrote Horror Store?
Grady Hendrix.
Is he
He
not
is
Polish?
from. He's from Manhattan. He lives in Manhattan. I think he's American.
Ah,
So yeah, he just happened to write it based in a IKEA type place. So
um,
yeah,
yeah. So yeah, that's probably something I need to challenge myself to do a bit more. But I'm quite happy reading stuff I like at the moment.
yeah. Maybe it'd be better if we could research the stuff we've read and where certain writers are from. I'd be able to give a better answer to that one, maybe.
I get recommended a lot of books on Goodreads that are foreign, but they're all in foreign languages, so I don't know what they're like.
Yeah, that happened with me actually. There was a book that sounded really great, and I looked on Amazon and they only had the original French version of it, which is a shame. So Hideshu, sorry, he's just commented again.
You made him
Hideshi
cough.
Hino Hell Baby is a great little graphic novel. I think I've seen the movie of that. It was awful.
Yeah, Hell Baby the movie is fucking awful.
It's terrible, isn't it? I
Yeah.
didn't know it was in the manga.
I don't know if it's the same thing, but manga's something I can't get on with.
No, I wanted to get into the Battle Royale one.
I can get into some anime, but the main tropes of that style, I can't do teenage girls in precarious sexual things. I can't deal with that. It doesn't do anything for me.
No, me either. There are some that
Um,
look interesting, like Death Note and stuff.
Death Note is one I could probably do. I have got the first book of that. One Piece looks kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Um, I wouldn't mind picking up some of the Godzilla mangas. And I know there's going to be a Pacific Rim one at some point. I'll probably pick that up.
Yeah, it's something I've never got into. We've got a couple that I've read, but um, yeah, I've never got into manga.
And also, this is a sweeping statement, but some of the people that are into anime just completely, I just don't get on with them. They instantly turn me off. They're like Nintendo fanboys, which I know Pete's a Nintendo fanboy, like I am, but we're not the typical Nintendo fanboys.
Okay.
Usually, Nintendo
Yeah.
fanboys are like geeks that never grow up properly or have any kind of matureness in their head.
Okay.
So they enjoy Mario Kart because they enjoy the fact there's a dinosaur in it, whereas I think Pete's like me and we enjoy Nintendo because they make games that are fun to play.
Yeah.
Instead of
Yeah. I know it.
it doesn't yeah, instead of just games that are just grey and shooting people. But that's a
Yeah.
whole other thing.
Yeah. But it's something I have a vague interest to maybe give a try to. But I'd need to know where to start. Maybe a good series to start with.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh right, okay.
Oh
I
yeah, I
might not
don't think
watch
you
that
should
then. The
do it.
guinea pig films look a bit silly to me.
Yeah, I saw them years ago, like, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago or something. I remember watching those and just thinking they were, I don't know, shock for the sake of shock a little bit. Which, and I don't know, there's a place for that, I suppose. It's just not my cup of tea, really.
Uh, but I tell you what, though, that does sound cool. I like the idea of a dumpster baby.
Yeah.
From that dumpster baby.
I knew that was coming.
Shall we just get it over and done with? Guillermo del Toro. Right, next thing.
Yeah, well, that was the first time we'd mentioned him, wasn't it?
I mentioned Pacific Rim.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I watched the Crimson Peak trailer last night.
Was that the first time you watched it?
Yeah. Looks awesome.
How many pants did you have to change?
I wasn't wearing pants.
Of course you weren't. Silly me.
Yeah, I was actually searching for a Miss Peregrine trailer because people were talking about there being a trailer, but I couldn't find one. Because
Is it being made into a movie then?
Yeah, fucking Tim Burton's doing it, isn't he? So I'm kind of
Oh, what?
a little bit antsy about it because I haven't enjoyed his stuff for a good while.
Have you watched Big Eyes yet?
What's that?
Big Eyes.
No. No, it looks, I don't know, I like Amy Adams, but...
Tim Burton with Christopher Waltz. Surely he can't fuck up Christopher Waltz.
You wouldn't think, no. So maybe it'll be alright if the same cast aren't there and... I don't know. I wanted somebody more, with more of a haunted house film background.
Who? Who would it be perfect for?
Who was the guy that was going to do The Hobbit? Del Toro.
James Bay? James Bay?
Oh, can you imagine?
Oh, Michael Bay. God, I can't even get his name right.
You imagine if Michael Bay did that. Or if he took over and did Crimson Peak.
Fuck that. I would kill people.
Yeah.
There'd just be explosions.
There'll be explosions at Crimson Peak anyway. That's why I'm not going to the cinema with you.
um, next book.
Yeah. Wow, my laugh is weird today because every time I laugh I get a tickle, so it sounds like I'm about to assault someone.
Who's doing the tickling?
The road. Jesus, I'm sorry.
Jesus is tickling you.
Yes, again. I've mentioned this tons of times. I like the movie, but the book is way better. It's another depressing read from my list of happy books. But I do find it. A lot of people have said it's one of those books that is just pure depression, but it isn't. It has a lot of hope to it for a post-apocalyptic story about ravaged wasteland of Earth and a father and a son traveling aimlessly. It actually does have a little bit of a hopeful twinge to it at the end, but I love the book. I've read it more than I've reread any other book, and it's really easy. This is what got me back into reading as an adult as well, a few years, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. So I'm thankful for that as well. But it's my favourite of his books. I think people maybe who haven't read Cormac McCarthy and might expect it to be him to be a bit. I don't know. I don't know if people realise that it can get pretty dark. This and Child of God are very dark books with some pretty twisted imagery in them. I think you'd enjoy it.
That's why I haven't read any Cormac McCarthy yet, because I kind of don't want to kill myself afterwards.
Yeah, I think if you read Child of God, that isn't depressing. It's just very dark and sinister. It's not a depressing book, and it's very short as well. So if anyone hasn't read any McCormack stuff, Child of God and The Road are two that I couldn't recommend enough to everybody.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's probably one of, if not my favourite book ever. It's certainly up there.
Really?
Yeah.
We stupidly watched the movie not long after our mothers had passed away.
Oh yeah.
So it wasn't exactly the best choice.
No, no. It's very. Yeah, my sister tried watching it, and she said she turned it off within like 10 minutes. She just couldn't. She just felt really bad about life.
That day
Um,
there was a lot of tears because we watched Life of Pi that day as well,
oh wow,
and both of them are pretty bad if you've lost your parents.
yeah, no, yeah, no.
But um, it's fine. I need to check the book out because he does that Southern style, doesn't he?
Yeah, I really like that. I think you'd actually probably prefer that William Gay book that I mentioned
Oh yeah, that's on my list to get as well.
because he writes in the same sort of style, but he does more sort of fantasy, fairy tale-y, but set in like backwoods, deep south. So
I need
yeah,
to check out what's his name. Did the Proposition and the Assassination of Jesse James by Robert Ford.
um,
You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. I can't think of his name.
Yeah, he does kind of Southern Gothic crime horror kind of stuff,
Yeah,
and Nick Cave always does the scores to his movies.
yeah.
And Nick Cave, I love Nick Cave. I love his writing. I've got books of his lyrics and stuff. So uh, another guy I need to check out is Gainsborough, William Gainsborough,
Yeah, I've not read any of his stuff.
Gainsbourg. But yeah, anyway, my fifth book. Well, that was your fifth book, wasn't it?
Yeah.
My fifth book is this beastie,
Ooh.
Hellboy Volume One for the library
Yeah.
edition. I have five of them now, and I think there's six out. The first two are my favourite because they have Mignola's art as well as his storytelling in it because he stopped doing the art when he brought up other things. But I'll just open a random page and it will look amazing.
Oh wow. Yeah, you're
Uh,
right. You could frame every page. You said that, didn't you?
I don't even know what I've opened there. I know it will look amazing though.
Nice, nice.
And yeah, I love them. So yeah, that's my favourite book, just because I absolutely adore Hellboy. I've read this first volume about 5 times because I just sit down and lose an afternoon to it.
Nice.
Um, it's like Hellboy's written for me. That's how it feels because it's just basically awesome.
Yeah. I've never read a Hellboy comic. Something I love the movies, so I know that I'll like
Oh,
them, but I do
they're
get
so
around to
much
them.
better than the movies. The character and stories in it are so much more. So many myths thrown in from all over the world.
Yeah.
At one point, Hellboy becomes the King of England.
Oh,
Um,
oh, that's cool. They
so
look nice
yeah.
additions.
Say that again.
But they look like really nice additions as well. You've talked to me about those before. They look really good.
And they're really cheap. I think they're all about 25 quid now.
Oh wow.
Which for like 400 pages of full colour, oversized art.
I kind of expected them to be black and white until you opened them up.
Oh no, no, they're full colour. I mean, the sketchbooks in the back too. I think when they first came out, they might have been black and white.
Yeah.
The original. But there's like 100 pages of a sketchbook in here, and then there's loads of artwork from like the first things he ever did with Hellboy. Was with Painful Jane.
Okay.
And if you see here, it's kind of like his take with Hellboy and the Fantastic Four.
Oh wow.
Um, and he did, because Mike Mignola did some Batman covers and things.
Yeah.
Um, but there's a hell of a lot of Lovecraft influence in this.
Yeah.
A hell of a lot. I'm just trying to find a cover of one of the issues. Yeah, I mean, look at this. This is just immense. I love his use of blacks and shadows.
Oh wow. Yeah, that is amazing.
And I can't praise him enough. I went through a period where I was obsessed with Mignola and I was collecting every comic I could find. He did a series of the Green Spectre.
Yeah.
I've got covers of Marvel and issues he's done that I've no interest of ever reading, but cover.
Yeah. Who did the Goon?
Eric Powell.
Yeah, that's something I'm kind of interested in because I remember you
Yeah,
showing me.
I got a trade paperback.
Yeah.
I've
Is
seen
it?
some talk. Sorry,
No, carry on.
I've seen some talk through Twitter and like on the Dark Horse website of them releasing some hardbacks of the trades. So I'm waiting for them to pick them up.
Cool.
I've
Yeah.
picked up a few issues.
Yeah.
That's basically like if you had an alcoholic Popeye, and then horror apocalypse, and he has to deal with it.
Oh wow.
Basically.
Yeah, it does look
Um,
cool.
so Pete asked, "What are your thoughts on fan fiction?"
Do you want me to go?
Yeah, you can go first.
I'm fine with anybody writing what they want to write, but I do have to admit to getting a little bit pissed off when people get published through fan fiction and not even good fan fiction. And I kind of don't get why people put as much work into it as they do, because you're taking somebody else's world that they've built, characters that they've created, a hype that has been built on their work, and taking it, using it to create your own little stories, which is fine if you want to do that as a sort of personal thing on your own computer, but to have it sent to publishers and posted all over the internet for people to read, I don't know. I have very mixed feelings on it, because I think any sort of writing is a good thing if people want to write, because it's, yeah, but I just have a bit of an issue with people taking another person's creation and doing what they want with it. So yeah, that's my opinion on it. I don't agree with certain parts of that.
For me, I'm pretty much on the same thing. I think fan fiction should purely be limited for fanboying, fangirling, whatever.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with people going off and taking and writing their own stories with other people's characters, but it needs to be purely as a hobby thing. I don't think it should have any merit given to it because it's not their ideas.
no,
And I think it's a good way for people to learn how to write properly.
yeah, definitely.
And if you're really, I've never found myself wanting to because I'm quite happy with what people write their characters to do. But if you are really that determined to see these characters do things you think they should do, no problem. I've written I've done when I was a kid. I made comics with characters in.
Yeah,
But they were for me and only for me. And if you've got that much passion for something that isn't yours, go and create something that is.
yeah. Can you imagine if you've got that sort of passion for somebody else's creation? What sort of passion you could have with your for your own stuff?
Yeah,
That's why
exactly.
I just don't quite understand it for that reason. But
I
to use it
understand.
as an exercise, it's a good idea. Like you said, to use it as a writing exercise to practice and stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah,
And also then there's the seedy part of fan fiction where it started, which is normally people getting it on.
yeah, adult fan fiction where you take Buffy and Angel and you put them in situations where they're fucking each other. That's basically how it started, isn't
Yeah.
it? I remember when the internet was fairly young and coming across websites for wrestling, even. You know, fucking Steve Austin getting it on with The Rock after.
Have you seen the comic book? That's Henry Rollins and Jeff and Glenn Danzig.
No.
Someone's done a comic book about them getting it on,
Wow.
but it looks kind of funny.
Yeah.
I don't think it's them getting it on. I think it's them having a proper relationship.
Oh wow.
But it looks
Yeah.
fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the same. It's like Supernatural had loads about Sam and Dean getting it on.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't get it. I enjoy creating and my own building a world and characters, and that's the joy I get out of writing. So if you're not doing that, I don't know what sort of joy you really get out of it, personally.
I think it kind of depends on the canon, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like Harry Potter, I can understand people doing fan fiction about Harry Potter because there is
Yeah.
such a huge world, but at the same time, no one else needs to see it.
No, exactly. Yeah. If you want to do it for yourself and maybe your friends at home or whatever, but
I suppose the easiest analogy I can make is cosplayers then making TV shows, getting TV shows of those characters.
Yes, exactly. Somebody who's dressing up as a character, Lara Croft or whatever,
Yeah,
and then getting a TV show instead of
yeah,
to do a TV show about the original character.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cosplaying is absolutely awesome, but I don't expect someone dressed as a Thundercat to then get picked up to make the Thundercats movie.
No. No, it's like the 50 Shades of Grey was originally a Twilight erotic fan fiction.
Uh,
I haven't read 50 Shades of Grey. I never intend to read 50 Shades of Grey, but I have read snippets online, and it is a very, very badly written book as far as I can tell. And that's the best-selling book of all time, is it? And
yeah.
that isn't a good thing, however you slice it. So
I tell you what, Dan Brown's looking good out of this
why?
because you know the Da Vinci Code was like the biggest selling book ever,
Oh yeah,
and he got loads of shit about the fact that it's not exactly the best written book.
yeah.
It looks like fucking Shakespeare compared to 50 Shades.
Oh, exactly. Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, what I don't understand about the whole thing with 50 Shades and what annoys me is if you want to read that kind of stuff, there is proper decent erotica out there.
yeah. Definitely.
There is proper great stuff you could go and read that will enrich your sex life way, way better than that. And they're watching 50 Shades of Grey or reading 50 Shades of Grey. I'm just like, go and just do a little bit of research, and you will find things that will do that kind of stuff for you much better.
Written by people that have put their life's work into creating erotic
Yeah,
literature rather than just
exactly.
crappy fan fiction. So I don't have a very positive outlook on fan fiction. It sounds like. Um,
I don't think Pete was asking that question expecting us to go, yeah, look at our supernatural fan fiction.
yeah.
Look, Spike's putting his dick
I
in
don't want to
angels.
sound insulting to people that write it because I do think it's fine to write that. I just
There's
don't like.
nothing wrong with it being written. It's just it needs to be seen as a fan homage, not literature.
Yeah,
Those
definitely.
people need to go along and say, right, I've written 15 chapters of a fan fiction where Sam and Dean are getting it on. Maybe I should write a story original and put the effort into that, and then have something that other people will enjoy that's my own.
Yeah,
Something that's
definitely.
new and doesn't exist.
Yeah, yeah. Because is it infuriating for people who write day in and day out, creating their own stuff and get passed over um, to people who write other people's shit and get published? It's a bit weird.
Yeah.
Pope fan fiction.
I hear he writes his own fan fiction.
Yeah,
He
I
wrote one
thought.
where all the adults die, other than him.
I don't want to read that. I don't want to read the
It's
Pope's
called
fan
Ass
fiction.
Goblins of Auschwitz.
Oh yeah. What did you think of that book?
Oh, it was awful. It didn't have the same effect that Jordan Krall and Carlton Mellick do when it comes to Bizarro. It just felt like someone was trying to be obnoxious for the point of being obnoxious. I didn't get the point of the story,
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
is
I'm
probably
trying to
the point.
find maybe. Yeah, I'm trying to find another Bizarro author that's like Carlton Mellick. I don't just want to blind buy something and it be like you like that one. I don't want it
Well,
to just
you've got the starter book coming, haven't you?
the starter kit, the orange one.
So that'll probably help. Although there is some fucking terrible stuff in there.
Yeah.
Well, in my opinion, but I'd say check out Jordan Krall. Just don't buy Piecemeal June.
Yeah, did he do Tentacle Death Trip?
Yes, I've got that.
Yeah, that one sounds kind of cool. I kind of interested in that one.
I've got that one, and I've got Fistful of Feet. I've just read. I think you'll enjoy that.
Okay.
Um, Apocalypse Donkeys. I've got that. King Squid and the Squid Pulp Blues, which is 3 short stories.
Oh yeah, that one looked kind of cool too.
So I would definitely say check out Technical Death Trip because that out of all the ones I've got of his is the most sounds like the most completed.
Yeah.
And Fistful of Feet, I definitely would recommend that because I think you'll enjoy that. That's fun.
Cool. Yeah, one actually just came today. If I can just move.
Oh
One
no!
of the ones I ordered.
How dare you move?
I ordered it the other day.
I love the covers.
I love his covers. They're really. I don't know who does them. I don't know the name of the person that creates these, but crazy. Really good. But
I'm
that
looking
sounds
forward
kind
to
of cute.
seeing what you think of that one because I found the Haunted Vagina.
Oh, cool.
So I'll probably give that a reread because I really enjoyed that. But I need to pick up
Yeah,
more Carlton.
yeah. I want to read The Haunted Vagina. I've got kind of a list of his that I want to read. There's not many that I'm not interested. I'm not really interested in the Baby Jesus book plug, and I'm not really interested in the I can't remember what it's called.
Satan Burger?
Yeah, yeah. I'm not really interested in that. But there's so many. The Menstruating Mall sounds cool.
Warrior Women of the Wasteland?
Yeah, that sounds cool as well. Have you
One
got that
about
one?
bees? No, I haven't. I've
Yeah.
only got I've only got the Haunted Vagina and Fantastic Orgy.
Fantastic Order. You said that's short stories, didn't you?
Yeah,
Yeah. Because I got his other short story one last week, the Hammer Wives.
yeah.
Just because I kind of wonder what he can do. I mean, they're not very long anyway, are they? So to be able
No,
to put
no.
it in,
There's only 3 short stories in Fantastic Orgy.
I think there's about 8 or 7 in the Hammer Wives one.
Oh, awesome.
So they
But
must be
yeah,
pretty fun.
I only have Haunted Vagina and Fantastic Orgy, but I have read The Cannibals of Candyland as well.
Oh, cool.
And Cannibal of Candyland was awesome. I loved that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm picking these up every time I get some PayPal money from writing stuff. I just get something from him with it because it's a good way to build up a bit of a collection to read because I'm always reading one of these along with whatever else I'm reading, so I've got two on the go.
Awesome.
Yeah, so what are you reading next after you finished your current?
I've got Lock and Key on the go, and then it's Guy Adams' The World House, which sounds really awesome. Another gift from you guys. Um, and then after that, because I'm probably going to get that finished before the month's out. That's
Yeah,
all my books for this month read.
fantastic.
Um, if once Lock and Key's finished, because I only gave myself Lock and Key, Black Hand Gang, and World House. Excuse me. So I don't know. I've got a lot. This morning I found a bookcase that I didn't realise I had. Or not a
Oh, wow.
bookcase. We've got a little bookcase down the side, and the sofa sits up against it, so you can't see.
Okay.
And we just fill that with books we've read that we're not really bothered about, just
Yeah.
storage. And I completely forgot that the bottom shelf, I thought it was TV series of DVDs, and it's not. It's books.
Oh, wow.
So there's about 15 books I've got out this morning that I haven't even put on my Goodreads. So I might start a Robert Rankin.
Yeah, I'm very tempted.
And I found out I had Japanese bloody Death Girl twice.
What have you got twice?
Japanese Death Girl
Oh,
thing.
yeah. Yeah, that's the one we've got.
Yeah, I know you've got it. That's what pissed me off because I could have sent you it.
Yeah.
But your American Elsewhere book should be coming today. I got that redelivered.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I forgot all about that.
So yeah, I'll get that sent to you.
Cool. I'm going to be sending the Penguin Classics tomorrow.
Oh,
Uh,
awesome! Thank you.
I was going to send them this week, but the box that they were in, I think, is a bit too big, so it'll double the postage. So I'm not going to
Oh
do that.
shit! Yeah, don't do that.
So we'll just get another box and send it. So hopefully you'll like the ones I picked out.
Awesome, thank you. Chris
Yeah.
was very kind to pick me up. Penguin Books is their 80th anniversary, and they released 80 classics for 80p.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I wouldn't have known about it if you hadn't mentioned that.
Well, no, what I'd done is when we were up at yours on my phone while I was in bed looking at pictures of you, I I checked the Waterstones website because we were going to Waterstones to see if there was anything kind of going on and stuff, and they had a thing on there, and I just assumed that they were really thin books and you
Yeah.
could only get them online.
Okay.
But yeah, they're actually quite nice editions.
Yeah, they do look nice together. It's like that one that I showed in the thing,
Yeah,
and they are very thin. But it'll make them easier to get through because classic stuff isn't easy to get through, I don't think. So,
No, I've got these books. Where are they? Oh, not to flash my belly on chat. It's a series I was trying to collect because they were quite cheap. It's the Wordsworth Tales of Mystery and Supernatural series.
oh, nice.
They've got a load of books, and they're all around like 99, £2 kind of price.
Oh, nice.
And so I've got Mark Valentine's The Black Veil and other stories, and then The King in Yellow by Robert Chalmers, which is Lovecraft had a story about him, Hastur, the King in Yellow, and True Detective's based on it as well.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I'd like to get read through that, but because they're such small books, I mean, look at there's loads of words on one page.
Yeah, really small writing.
Yeah, and like full pages too.
Yeah.
So like this is only
Sorry.
this is under 200 pages long, but there's probably about 500 pages worth of writing in it.
Yeah, they do that.
So I want to get through these because I need to read King in Yellow because I need to get my Lovecraft reading up. But I don't know what I'm going to read next. There's plenty I want to do.
Yeah.
How about you?
I gave myself Satan's Daughter, Dead Harvest, and Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. So I need to do Dead Harvest. Move on to that one, and I read The Sculptor, which I hadn't intended to read. So,
what's that one you rated on Goodreads? You give it 2 stars. Something to do with the series.
I'm not sure.
What? Anyway, while I look for that, what videos you got coming up on your channel?
Videos, we have the Gifts from You and Ellie video is coming next. That is ready to go up soon. Probably put that up tomorrow. And then we've done a tag video. We've created a tag video as well. What else have we done? Our graphic novel overview's filmed. And we're doing another on the couch where we talk about the movies we've watched and stuff. And then we're going to do our first ever wedding vlog at some point. So quite a few things coming up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to them.
Thank you.
Yeah, you rated Carswell's Guide to Being Lucky.
I've never heard of that.
Is there any chance Victoria rated it before she realised that she was logging in as you?
Maybe, or I might have clicked on it by accident, but I've never heard of that.
It's the Lunar Chronicles.
Oh. Well, look, that's like Cinder and Scarlet and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like I think it's a short story. It's the Lunar Chronicles number 3.1.
All right, I haven't read those. They sound cool, but yeah, that was an accident then. So, strange. Or someone's hacked for a good reason, is trying to sabotage my reading life.
That's a very geeky hacker.
Yeah, very personal hacker as well, really.
I will break in and I will ruin your Goodreads book lists. Yeah, for me, videos coming up. We've got the next 2 videos are haul videos. So I've got the birthday haul from down here from my friends, and then we've got a separate haul from when we went up to see you guys. So that's pretty much 90% the gifts, the lovely, wonderful gifts you got us, and then 10% a few of the things we picked up while we were up there.
Yeah, cool.
And then I think we've got, what else have we got recorded? We've got a tag video we've done. I think I'm guessing we've probably been tagged in your video. So we'll do a response to your tag.
Awesome.
And then I want to start a series, Beginner's Guide to Bizarro. Because I don't see much videos on YouTube about Bizarro.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah.
And I might do some spotlight videos on authors.
Yeah, that sounds a good idea.
And probably just a few more reviews of what I'm reading.
Nice. Yeah, I do like your reviews. So.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Right, well, I think we'll probably end this chat here.
Yeah.
It's been nice and it's flowed nicely, and we've gone half an hour over, which is cool.
Yeah, good amount
Thank
of
you
time.
for everyone that's watched and asked questions. I'll have one quick look at YouTube and check we haven't missed anyone.
Yeah, that's cool. Thank you to everybody that's asked. It's nice to get questions while we're doing this. It breaks things up, and it's always nice when people watch. So thank you.
Yeah, so thank you to Mondo Squadino, Pete Graham, Scum76, Bathsheba Everdeen.
Yeah.
Check them
Thanks,
out if you
guys.
see them in the comments on the video when this goes up. Hopefully this video will go up on YouTube and it won't disappear like the last one.
Yeah, I hope so.
Which we just couldn't work out what happened with that one.
No, I'm hoping it'll be a phantom video and it'll just reappear at some point, but I don't know.
But yeah, so our next video live chat thing, it'll be on Christoria 2027's channel. So they'll be hosting it, which is awesome. I'm not sure what the topic will be now.
No, we'll be talking about it in the next week or so and figuring it
Yeah,
out.
it'll be posted up on our Facebook and stuff.
Yeah, so if you actually go to Facebook, we've Mark and Ellie's have got a Facebook page, and we've got one as well if you want to follow that. But yeah.
Yeah. So cheers for watching, guys. Cheers for being here, Chris.
Yeah, thank you.
And we will see you all in the next one.
See you guys.
Guys, bye.
Bye.